Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the program. It's February 1. We've dispatched with January. And here we go into February. Slipping and sliding all the way. Wow. Is there a public works department in the city of Pittsburgh? I'm just asking. It's they're curiously invisible. The roads are incredibly awful, extremely slippery. I slid my way through one four-way stop with my hand on my horn, coming through. I mean, it's just a little bit sideways as well. I mean, I didn't see any, just because I didn't see any trucks, plows. The only plow I saw was on the busway, which I happily took to work. Boy, it's strangely slippery out there. It's the slush. Almost wiped out in front of that toy shop right on Smithfield. You know how when you almost fall and you go into a kind of a scarecrowy, thing, saving your life, and somehow manage to stay upright, how the first thing you think of is, did anybody see me? Oh God, I hope nobody saw that. It's funny how your first response is not, phew, I just managed not to break a bone, but I managed not to embarrass myself in some way. I remember a friend telling me, and I have little doubt he meant it, knowing him, that if he were sitting eating alone in a restaurant, let's say, and he began to choke and could not breathe and clearly needed a Heimlich maneuver, he says, I don't think I could get up and bring attention to my state. I think I'd rather die. Seriously, he said he would die. He would sit alone at his table and quietly expire rather than getting up and upsetting the entire restaurant and having somebody come and save his life and have him projectile expel whatever it was that was in, and be the center of that humiliating, as he saw it, attention. He said, I don't think I would ask for help. I think I would just die. I don't think I would do that, but I think maybe, who knows, that life force that is within us all, that strong will to live, can jump in with even the most depressed and or embarrassed folk, I think. I don't know. So I am thrilled to announce that this program has a sponsor for this month, and it's a sponsor that I wanted. I received in the mail at my home this little booklet, maybe about, a few months ago. And it's announcing the 2018-2019 season at the August Wilson Center, August Wilson Cultural Center to be exact. And the August Wilson Cultural Center is a place that I, first of all, pass every day. The bus stops pretty much there. It is literally around the corner from where I sit now. It's a beautiful facility. I have had the pleasure of somewhat performing in it, and also of being in the audience for a number of occasions. And it's a gem. And I was thinking, gosh, August Wilson Center and me should be in a symbiotic relationship. And so we're trying it out this month, and I will be telling you some of the incredible opportunities available there this month, and certainly any month of the year. For anyone who has not taken advantage of this extraordinary facility, it is a performance space, has a marvelous theater, and smaller performance spaces as well. It is an art gallery, essentially, as well. It's used for all kinds of purposes. And we need to support it. We really need to support it. Named after Pittsburgh's own August Wilson, and its mission statement says that it is guided by the enduring truths and essential values evident in the work of August Wilson. So, one of the opportunities I had doing talk radio, it was to spend an hour with August Wilson on my program many, 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 many years ago. What an extraordinary human being. So anyway, the August Wilson Center, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be hearing about it here. And for those of you who for some reason have never taken in what they are putting out there on this buffet table of wondrous cultural opportunity, I hope we can get you up, out the door, and to a performance of some sort. Dance, lectures, art. I'll be telling you about it. It's unbelievable. So that's a happy thing. Let's see. I hesitate and have been trying pretty hard not to talk about you-know-who, because he's crazy, he's insane, he's destructive, he's frightening. And anyone who is not, I have to talk about him today because of this. I mean, it's not that he hasn't done this before, but we have become, I think, and this is what happens, so inured, so complacent, so, oh yeah, Trump, oh, who lies to us more than he ever tells us the truth, and who lies so blatantly that it is an insult to each and every one of us. And the latest thing is that, as you know, in testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee earlier in the week, was it just 2 days ago? Who knows? Trump time is different. Everything seems like so far away. Didn't that happen in 1882? No, that was yesterday. It's like a bad trip. So Dan Coates and Gina Haspel, I think her name is, and the head of the CIA, they were all up there before the senators and doing what they do every year. It's some kind of a mandated report to the Congress from all of the U.S. intelligence agencies saying what they consider the largest threats facing the country. And of course, they sat there for hours upon hours and answered questions, and never did the southern border come up. Never mind that, of course, the president says it's a national emergency. Never did the need for a wall come up. Instead, they spent a lot of time negating every bit of lying nonsense he's been spewing about the threat from Iran right now, about the taming of North Korea. Also, they talked about Putin's desire to undo NATO and the EU and everything that holds Europe together so that he can have at it. All of that, which Trump has been helping Putin with, working mightily against the interests of the United States and our allies. And this was in open session, so it is recorded. Their words are transcribed. Their words are in the congressional record now. It's all out there. If you're a real junkie, you could have watched the whole dang thing on C-SPAN, right? And the president yesterday told us that he had some of those guys, that Dan Coates, Gina Haspel, had them over to the White House. And he said that they told him, "Sir, our testimony was totally mischaracterized. It was fake news." Let me just say this. There is no way any of them said that, because only a crazy person would say that. We all heard them say it. There wasn't an intermediary that took their words and skewed them and made them seem like something they weren't, and then we heard them. We heard what they said when they said it. And they were not mischaracterized. If they were mischaracterized, they mischaracterized themselves in real time. And that this man has the gall, fueled by his narcissistic insanity, to tell us, each and every one of us, that what we heard and what his intelligence chief said was not said. And then, case closed. We can't, I don't know about you. The reason I don't talk about him is I cannot. I am a sane person. Yeah, I have a little neuroses here, there. Who doesn't? Makes you interesting. I am not crazy. And I don't cotton to living in a country where the president gets to, on a regular basis, look us in the eye and say, what you heard didn't happen. What you saw with your own eyes didn't happen. Night is day, black is white, peace is war. What are we to do? I fantasize about Dan Coates, Gina Haspel, head of the FBI, all of them, just resigning en masse and, saying, we cannot have our words mischaracterized by the president. we cannot continue to serve with someone who clearly is working against the interests of our national security. And we need the American people to understand this. Now, that's my fantasy. A lot of people will say, well, they're not doing it because they feel like they're the buffer between Trump and literally handing our nation lock, stock, and barrel over to Vladimir Putin. I don't know. And 40-some% of the American people support this guy? Or is it down to 30, some 36? Still, support this guy. So he is also symptomatic of a larger problem. That over a third of our countrymen and women are crazy too. And are so desirous of having some kind of what they think of as a big daddy in control, that they will literally check their meager brains at the door. Ugh. Okay, that's why I don't talk about him. Because it's effing depressing. Ah! Okay. I'm going through. I know. I'm sifting through my my papers. I have something else I want to talk about. Wait a minute. Anthony writes, I didn't catch the first half of your show yesterday until I listened to it later in the day. I heard you talking about seeing whatever happened to Baby Jane for the first time. Wow! No one can believe it was the first time. Wow! What a classic. I've seen it so many times I've lost count. I loved Michael's call from Polish Hill, quoting my favorite line. But you are in that chair, Blanche. You are in that chair. Loved Hush Hush as well. Betty knew roles for older actors were few and far between and took it and made it classic. P.S. Trump is a jagoff. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, tune in and hear Lynn Cullen hack. Mike says, it's not just a lie. This is Mike in D.C. You can still call Mike, you know. He got uptight because he's a federal contractor who had a little more time on his hands during the shutdown, so he was calling a lot. And we enjoy your calls, Mike. It's not just a lie, it's gaslighting, what Trump does. Well, I guess that's the crazy thing that's the thing that, yes, it's desired to make you doubt your own eyes, your own ears. It's desired. It's intended. That's gaslighting. He sits there and looks us in the eye and tells us that what we heard, we didn't, what we saw, we didn't, and he keeps it up. Day after day, week after week. And you know what? It has no positive effects. No positive effects. It either drives you mad or you get numb. Both are not good states for a citizen in a country that is in distress to be in. Mike says he's saying what some people want to believe in order to manipulate them. Here is the definition of gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation that seeks to sow seeds of doubt in a targeted individual or in members of a targeted group, making them question their own memory, their own perceptions, their own sanity. And that's what this evil SOB does to the people he swore to protect and defend on a daily basis. Evil incarnate. And Barbara says the same. That's what he's doing. He's talking to his base. He's talking to that 36% who are willing to surrender their own sanity, their own ability to think to him. She points out that George Orwell's, the slogan of the ruling party in 1984 is this: who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. You simply create your own reality. So, yeah, I avoid it. I avoid him, but he's unavoidable. And so, God help us. What else we have? You know, we're going to head right into another huge crisis in just 2 weeks. You do know that. Because the federal workers are back at work. But Trump has already said that the meetings the negotiations with Congress designed to fix this, he says, are a waste of time. That's one of the parties to the negotiations. It's a waste of time. Well, great. So that means we're going to either have another shutdown, which I don't think he'll do. What he'll do is what? An emergency declaration of some sort. He's going to cause some serious trouble in a few weeks. That's all he knows how to do. Chaos. The Chaos King. Okay, we have a caller. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hello, Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Joe from Beaver County. I wanted to tell you, when you're talking about Foxconn, we have our own Foxconn here in Beaver County. It's Shell freaking fracking plant.
Oh, the cracker plant. The cracker plant.
The cracker plant. It's,
yeah.
You should see, they've really taken out homes, and I mean, it's a big operation. And I think they part of the deal is that Beaver County pays the property taxes for 20 years.
Ha!
I mean, it's one of those. It's just a sweetheart deal for them. It's disgusting, and I think it's going to be a bust. And then a lot of the construction jobs are out-of-state people because they're bringing them in. They're staying in these motels that they just built, and they're like from Texas, different areas. I mean, there are some local people working there, but it's going to be a bust. I think we're going to be in trouble here. I hope not. I mean, I hope it works out. But
do you know? I know somebody who lived right near where that land is, and they sold their home. They got out a little bit ahead. They sold their home and left. So I mean, because they figure that the air pollution and other pollution from that plant is going to destroy any property values that anybody has.
And then we have Shippingport. And then the funny thing, in the mall, they're building a cancer And I said, well, that makes sense to me,
Yeah.
with all
Give them
this
cancer and
pollution
then,
all
yeah,
that.
right. Yeah. Well, I just,
Yeah, so it's all,
it's pretty effed up.
But I wanted to say, that you were talking about that's Schultz. I think right now the capitalists are shaking in their shoes because I think, and I said this before, the country it wants to have, and you can't have all complete socialism, but you can have a nice 70-30%, where you have a good health care plan and a pension plan for the elderly. It just, that's what we need, because they're seeing that this capitalism is all for the top, and it's not working, and they're onto it, and they're trying to cover it up because they caught on to us, but people are onto it now, and this is great with these people coming out, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, that Cortez, and some of the other ones, Camilla. This is all great. Medicare for all, keep pushing it, because that is a winning argument. I really do think that.
Okay. I thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, something's happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. So we've been talking about something big is happening. Americans are starting to wake up, I think. But the powers that be, they control our media, they control our government. They ain't going quietly. And they're and then, again, the Russians love this kind of stuff because they'll be all over social media disguised, trying to turn Americans against each other, which, is obviously pretty easily done these days, but also spreading misinformation, spreading fear. We're in for a rocky ride, guys. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. So this actually is something that harkens back to what I was talking about earlier with the the spy chiefs coming in and doing this annual assessment of the threats that America faces, and where Trump said he defeated ISIS, they said terrorism is still like way up there, number one. They have way up there climate change, which the guy in the Oval Office calls a hoax. They also say hostile foreign powers, and they're talking specifically about Russia and China. Those are Trump's, China, he has a problematic relationship with, but Putin's his buddy. They also say that rising nationalism is a big threat to the United States. Well, Trump has said, what's wrong with being a nationalist? I'm a nationalist. So everything that these guys said, Trump is on the president is on the other side. And now he has said, they didn't say any of that. We're all on the same page. Here is what Dan Coates said. You can check the transcript. The Kremlin is stepping up its campaign to divide Western political and security institutions and undermine the post-World War II international order. We expect Russia will continue to wage its information war against democracies and to use social media to attempt to divide our societies. And one of the best Russian bots going is Donald Trump, the president. When you see what our intelligence chiefs say are the threats facing us, and when you see where Donald Trump stands on all those threats, he stands in opposition to the interests of the United States. It's as clear as day. As clear as the C-SPAN tapes are of what was said. And they also said that China has a long-term strategy to achieve global superiority. They say there is always a threat from cyberspace, always a threat of a pandemic of disease, always a threat of actually bad people using disease. And Coates said it is increasingly a challenge to prioritize which threats are of the greatest importance. And again, I tell you that nowhere did they mention a wall. And nowhere in their threats facing this country did they mention desperate men, women, and children trying to get into the United States across our southern border. Didn't make the list. No, they said things like the president's good friend, Putin, will continue the social media efforts to focus on aggravating racial tension in the United States, aggravating social tension in the United States, undermining trust in the United States, and who, again, is the biggest Russian bot of all. On all of those fronts, the divider-in-chief, Donald Trump. Just saying. Let's take a time out to remind us that the world is also full of love and creativity and joy and wonder and art and music. And actually, that's why a place like the August Wilson Cultural Center is a balm now for our very souls. Just going to tell you about one person. It's coming in. This is just one. Gregory Porter. If you're like me, you've been left behind. You're not up on the newest artists. If you're like me, in other words, old and out of it. Gregory Porter, here's something you could do on February 17th. Two-time Grammy Award winner, Gregory Porter, considered to be one of the most important voices on the international music scene. He's celebrated around the world for his ability to combine jazz, soul, and gospel in a way that stirs the spirit. And I see something like this. This is an antidote. You know, listen to me in the morning and I will make you crazy. Then go to the August Wilson Center at night and have something that reacquaints you with the wonders of being alive. Gregory Porter appearing at the August Wilson Center one night, the 17th of February. He recently released an album, Nat King Cole and Me. Oh, Nat King Cole and Me, where he covers songs of the people, of one of his greatest influences, Nat King Cole. Gregory Porter, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you, something else I've realized about the August Wilson Center, the price structure there is, it's affordable. God bless them. I'm going to keep telling you about this stuff, and I'm going to do it happily. Bob in Braddock says, I don't know if you're going to watch CBS News Sunday morning. I don't like my weekend, my Sundays. I don't like to watch any news shows. It's my day off. I just can't. But Bob's telling me Linda Ronstadt will be a guest. And he says this is perfect timing. Or in this case, imperfect timing, because one of her favorite singing duet buddies from back in the day, James Ingram, died this week. James Ingram, the performer who performed Somewhere Out There for the soundtrack of the movie An American Tale. He was amazing. No, and I failed to mention his obit this week, and I should have. But thank you, Bob, for doing that. Beth writes, yesterday on the Atlantic, she's in Atlanta. Yesterday on the Atlanta Morning News, they were doing a segment on all the governmental agencies that are involved with security for the Super Bowl, which is in Atlanta on Sunday. I was shocked to learn that with our crisis on the U.S.-Mexican border, that the U.S. Customs and Border Protection crowd has a massive presence at the Super Bowl in Atlanta. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is in Atlanta for the Super Bowl? They brought in specialty scanners. What? To search all the semis? You mean the trucks entering the venue? They have agents checking for counterfeit Super Bowl items around the Atlanta area, and Black Hawk helicopters support around Metro Atlanta. How can we spare these trained border agents for a football game? I thought we had this ongoing crisis at the southern border, and now they want to see they've been repositioned to find scalpers? Jesus, God almighty. You know, I keep forgetting there is a Super Bowl. Geez, somebody just sent me a picture of me. What the hell am I wearing? On this show. And I have, like, black hair. Jeez. Wow. Yeah, times change. I keep forgetting there's a Super Bowl. I have no interest in it. And it actually feels very freeing not to give a damn. And not to be, herded with everybody else into a, everybody, this is what you do. If you're an American, you got to do this and watch that and talk about it for days and talk about it for days after. And, oh, no, you don't. I'm just saying. Oh, no, you don't. I think one of the big stories that we will be talking about in the next few years has to do with pharmaceutical companies on a few fronts. But I want to mention the opioid crisis. There is no doubt that the pharmaceutical companies, plus drugstores, plus the distributors, there is an unholy conspiratorial kind of thing that went on. And sorting through it, heads should roll. People, thousands upon thousands of people died so that a few capitalists could make, pardon the pun, a killing. OxyContin. That is Purdue Pharma, owned by a family named Sackler, or sack of shit. The Sacklers are a distinguished, wondrous family, one of the most wealthy families in the country. Why, the Sackler name adorns all kinds of facilities in the United States, some of the finest institutions, art and educational. Because when you got the kind of blood money they got, why, you can get your name on all those things. And there was a piece actually there were two pieces in different parts of the paper about how to get to holding people accountable for this, and God help the people who are trying to do it. There are over 1,500 separate federal court cases suing pharmaceutical companies, suing drugstores, suing, and the people bringing these suits are cities, are counties, our states, our Native American tribes, our hospitals, our union benefit funds, our individual people. The first big trial is starting up in Oklahoma in May, and that is the state of Oklahoma versus Purdue Pharma. This will go on ad nauseum, but when you realize what these people have done for money, they should be, I'm anti-capital punishment. I would like to reserve capital punishment for rich SOBs like them. The ones who never pay. A number of briefs that have been put forward show that Purdue Pharma considered, after addicting people to opioids, they considered marketing drugs to treat opioid addiction. How's that for a business plan? Hey, let's first hook all these people with a drug. Then let's market another drug to unhook them. They also considered the possibility of selling Narcan, which is the drug that is given to people who are dying of an opioid overdose. Why not? Get the money on both ends. Since OxyContin came on the market in 1996, more than 200,000 Americans have died from it. I'm sure you've seen some pieces on it. When this starts getting looked into, it is so repulsive. And if this isn't like one of the biggest crimes of our time, I'd like to know what is. This is capitalist crime. And this is the hardest crime to get people punished for. You've probably heard there was a 10-month period, and this is back about 10 years ago, where one distributor of these pills shipped 3 million prescription opioids to one pharmacy. Now, all right, 3 million in a 10-month period to one pharmacy. And you know where that pharmacy was? Was it in New York City? Maybe, sure. I mean, because there's a lot of people there. There's one for everybody. I mean, Oxycontin to that person, Oxycontin to that person. No, this was to a town in West Virginia. This is where the drugstore in question was. It was in a town in West Virginia with a population of 400 people. Now, you tell me, do you think something nefarious and or criminal is going on when millions of doses of a deadly drug go to one little pharmacy in a state ravaged by opioid addiction, one little pharmacy in a town of 400 people? Yeah, stay tuned. I mean, that is when that thing starts to unravel, it'll make, the tobacco and cancer, I think, look almost puny in terms of the conspiracy aspect of it. Did anyone go to jail for that? Killing all those Americans, addicting them to nicotine and cigarettes, and then dying. They're still dying of cancer. This is unfettered capitalism, ladies and gentlemen. And as our caller said, Americans are just starting to wake up. Okay, little odds and ends. I love the fact that Mitch McConnell has denounced the idea of making Election Day a federal holiday. I've never seen the turtle so outraged. He said, "It's a power grab by the Democrats." Can you imagine making Election Day a holiday so that you can easily allow people to exercise their right to vote? And he calls that a power grab because, well, Mitch knows, like Republicans do, that if you make it easier for people to vote, they don't vote for Republicans. The people who have trouble maybe voting because of jobs they have to be at, because of transportation issues, because some polls are open a ridiculously small period of time on a work day. What kind of a country sets something? What is that? It's insanity. No, it's the ultimate depress the vote strategy. Our voter turnout in this country is an embarrassment. And we like to hold ourselves up to the world as some kind of bastion of democracy. Countries with the highest turnout in the world are all countries that either make it a federal holiday to vote. Obviously, they're countries that make it easier or mandatory. I don't know if I'm for mandatory, because if you have to, with a gun to your head, be forced to vote, then something's wrong. Well, Australia, it is mandatory. And it's become a big, people have parties, people vote. It's a happy day. Turnout is over 90%. South Korea has a national holiday. They also are up in the 80% of people voting, Israel as well. These are places that call themselves democracies and actually try to make a go of it, as opposed to a country in which Republicans and capitalists hold so much power. I was saying the other day that girls are, outperforming boys in school left and right. I didn't realize this, but 70% of high school valedictorians in the last 5 years have been girls. 70%. That's a red flag for the boys. It's another reason they didn't want girls to have freedom, have the ability to compete. What is more shameful? What is the most shameful thing that can happen to a boy or a man? Getting beat by a woman, right? Speaking of women, here's a woman makes my skin crawl. Her name is, what's her first name? Karen. Yes. Karen Pence. She is the second lady. She is the wife of our vice president. And I've been late to the game on this, but did you see that she took a teaching position at a Christian school in Virginia? And she took this position at a school where she feels most comfortable, because all students and all teachers have to, before they enter this school, have to sign a pledge stating that marriage can only be between a man and a woman, and that they themselves are not gay or transgender. And this is where the vice president's wife works. Now, Americans are entitled to work wherever they want to work, right? And Americans, by virtue of our First Amendment, are entitled to hold whatever religious views that they want. But here's the thing. Karen Pence is more than just an individual. She is the wife of the Vice President of the United States. And as such, she is a public figure, and a powerful public figure. And for the Vice President's wife to happily choose to work at a place that absolutely insists that its students and teachers sign on to something that the laws of the United States say are discriminatory, is discriminatory. Because the laws of the United States say marriage is not just between a man and a woman. So to have the second lady wholeheartedly signing on to and identifying with an institution that tells a huge number of this country's citizens and children that they're defective in some way, that to be who they are, you can't even enter this school. That is, again, it's not illegal, but it is despicable. Oh, Karen Pence in all her Christian finery. Unbelievable. All righty, guys. One last thing. Oh, no, actually, I wanted to, you know, this story that I haven't talked about of the Empire actor being beaten up in Chicago. His name is Jussie, why am I blanking? His name is Jussie, what's his name? Smollett. I'm getting a funny feeling about this. I just want to say I want to go out on the record. I want to, you know, might be wrong. Absolutely might be wrong. I've got a funny feeling about this. I hope I'm wrong. But why would, with all the video cameras that are out there now, why would the Chicago PD, and the FBI's on it too, why would they not be able to something doesn't seem right. And the latest thing I heard that doesn't seem right is that the police, he said that when the attack happened, he was on his phone talking to, I think, his manager or something. So the cops said, well, can you give us your phone? We're going to ask the manager for his phone, too. We just need to, you know, we got to get the timeline. We got to show that is what happened. At this point, he was on. And if he was on the phone when it happened, wouldn't you hear the attack or something? The fact of the matter is that neither he nor the manager will turn their phones over to the police. So that's the last thing I heard, where I'm starting to get this queasy feeling that it was just a little too, it's 2:30 in the morning, and two guys are going to recognize him and have with them bleach and a noose. I mean, he wouldn't have been expected to go out then. He got hungry. There was a Subway around the corner. The whole thing just sounds weird. And initially, he did not say that they said something about MAGA, Make America Great Again. And then on a second interview, he remembered that. I just have a feeling that I'm hoping I'm wrong, that this could turn out to be one of those things where he is seeking attention as opposed to really being victimized. I hope I'm wrong, please. Because when these kinds of things happen, if what I'm hoping against hope is not the case, it does such damage. And if I'm wrong, I totally admit it. And it's not as if people have to go around making up that black men and gay men are attacked on a regular basis, subjected to violence and racism. That's a given. But there's something weird about this one. In my head, I don't know. So I guess that's pretty much all I got. I think. Yeah, I'm looking at all my stuff, and I think that would be it. Yeah, I think that's it. So it's going to be like 110 next week. I exaggerate only slightly. Ooh, I did that again. What is going? I keep like trying to break there's a thing here. Never mind. So, yeah, it's frightening. We can, it's going to be like 60 degrees. Flowers are going to start coming up. It's not nice to fool with Mother Nature. Okay, guys, I was in a strange mood today, I think, but what the hell. Thank you for joining me, if in fact you did. And if you didn't, well, who cares? You wouldn't have heard that. And I'll see you Monday, okay? Have a good weekend. And I'm not rooting for anybody in that stupid game, but I sure as hell do not want the effing Patriots to win. I'm sorry. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. My head is going to explode, okay? Thank you very much. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.